GM, everybody, what's going on? What's happening? Badge Bros. Except it's just me. Once again, no John. Out in Alaska, taking pictures of glaciers. It's gonna be a rare. It's gonna be a rare GM here in a few years. But have no fear, guys. I brought in a ball knower to help us out with a BBM once again. You know him, you love him, you should know him, you should love him. It's Tyler, aka Emo Cowboy. Let me bring him in. Young Tyler, my dog. What's happening?
Dude, we're having a great awesome day now that we're like this is first official in the Badge Bros. So I can finally put official ball knower in my
Yeah.
bio on the old X machine. Feels good, man. We're doing good.
Yeah, this is your first long overdue appearance because we have been in similar circles and come across each other multiple times now in real life, which is such a blessing and pleasure every time. So for the uninitiated, why don't you just give your little preamble? I'll play the music if you're getting a little overboard.
I am a Houston native, born and raised Texan. So right off the bat, you and I get along just fine, because I've accepted you as a Texas resident.
As a transplant, yes, thank
Living
you.
in Dallas, and it's even more fun because I get to give you a hard time for living in Dallas. Houston's mortal enemy for no reason other than just salty Houstonians. But no, man, love football, love the dog app, love the draft games. Shout out UD. So we've been having a blast with the cardio clubs, all the in person events. Those have always been a blast. So it's just fun to be in the community, ripping off hot takes and getting infamous for all the wrong reasons that make my mom so proud, like burritos up my butts and other such fun things that I forgot more than I've remembered. That's for sure.
There's the music. There you got we got the things up the ass and we you immediately get played off the stream. Yeah, no, I would love to go to Houston at some point in my Texas life, which is probably going to be for the rest of my life. But do want to go to Houston at some point because I mean, listen, where I'm at, I'm in the burbs now, so like I'm not like Dallas to the core and whatnot, but like I got something tells me Houston's a better city, but like it's neither
Better
here.
food for sure is
You,
the
you think
big
so?
thing. Oh, I mean, I say this all the time, and I don't think this is hyperbole. I think Houston is like a sneaky top five food city. Like we're a melting pot. Like truly, all the cultures of the world. We have pockets here, and the food
Yeah.
is awesome.
Have you ever been to Kansas City?
I've yet to but like, dude, I have like a laundry list of like here's the thing. I love food. So anytime someone like gives Rex that I trust, I've got my Google Maps. I've just got lists of food
Oh,
places in every city to hit. So when I do show up, I just pull up the list and I just start
mhm.
hitting restaurants. It's great.
Love Kansas City. I think Kansas City, same way, sneaky, great food spot, and sneaky, great coffee city as well. A lot of good little
Oh,
roasteries down there if you're a coffee guy. But
big
obviously,
coffee guy.
barbecue, big thing. Kansas City barbecue is still the best barbecue that I've ever had for my money.
I've heard
Um,
I've heard good things. I've saved all of Andy Reid's food Rex.
that's why he hasn't left. It's not Mahomes. It's the food clearly. Uh, Tyler, I respect your ball knowledge and your takes a good deal. So I'm happy to have you on here. You famously last year, famously did 69 best ball mania drafts. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you planning on running that back?
I mean, it feels like a good number, right? I do a good chunk with Tom over on the Fantasy Sanctuary where I do all of my underdog and drafters and all of my best ball content over on the Fantasy Sanctuary. So like I want some to myself, obviously, when we have guests
Mm-hmm.
on and stuff. But I mean, it's a brand play. And now that the regular season prizes are back, it's a nice little chunk of change. You like what, top 1,000?
Yeah, top
Yeah,
1,000, and it's 10% of the prize pool, I believe.
yeah. So I like to stand out. So
You
if
sure
that's my
do.
magic number again, last year I was sweating it though because I think my 69th was like within the last 5%. And I was like,
Oh wow.
please don't get any of these canceled. That would hurt my feelings so bad. If I
That,
get
that would
68,
be
I'm gonna be so down bad.
68 is such an ugly number too. Like that's
Oh
just
no,
it's not even the good number to
no, it'd
land
be the
on.
worst. And I'm not gonna lie, every week, no matter what the advance rates look like, opening up and seeing 69 BBMs did make me smile. And Maria Kondo, do things that bring you happiness. So
It's a great call out. Great. We love Marie Kondo. Uh have you looked at any of these other tournaments that have dropped yet? I wasn't sure if you got to look at the Eliminator or anything
yeah.
like that specifically.
Yeah, I think the Eliminator is gonna be an interesting one with the basically every week 1v1.
Yeah.
I've already been thinking through like some fun ways to tackle it, but I definitely think I think the people that like to act influencers are gonna get the most sweat equity out of it because
Yeah.
they're like, oh, me versus Pete, me versus Nez, you're going down, John Boy. Like that, those guys I think are gonna enjoy it the most. My mentions are gonna be a train wreck, I'm sure, by the end of the summer with those being in, and then definitely just dip. I'm gonna dip my toes in everything because there's
Nice.
a bunch of fun ways. I like attacking each tournament in its own little way.
Hmm.
And that's always been the fun way to keep it fresh. If you only ever do like the one contest type, it does get monotonous. If you're like me and you've been drafting since they opened up in February,
Right.
which I'm already trying to make sure I'm not burnt out drafting, which is an insane thing to say on the first week of BBM.
It happens. It can happen. But yeah, like you said, it's nice having the variety there. That's a good point about the mentions and stuff. I think if I max the eliminator, I could probably spin it as a tax write off for marketing for the brand. Like everybody hitting me up. I think I need people to buy in though. I need people to mention
Well,
me on the X machine when that
you
does
got to
happen.
do it like Pete, and you got to be like, "Hey, I'm maxing here, so every week I'm going to go through see my matchups and come and
Mm,
chat, come shout, come talk
mm.
your crap." That's I think that you got to do a little bit of marketing, a little bit of
I
promotion.
do got to do a little extra, because they'll get me. They'll get me otherwise. Uh, before we get in, I'm not entering a draft yet, people, but I am just going to pull up the lobby just to get ready. We are going to do a 30-second draft when the time comes. I'll give you a heads up. I am curious, as the ball owner that you are, how did you feel about the NFL draft in general? And was there any team in particular that really stuck out to you as like a home run draft from a football standpoint? And then if that doubles as fantasy standpoint, great. But then the follow up,
Yeah.
what? How about fantasy?
I mean, I like shout out to the Giants trying to run back the Houston Texans, like get the top rated edge guy and then the second quarterback off the board for upside. So like as far as trying to keep their jobs and building talent, I definitely think that's the move to try to balance. Yeah, and I think a lot of teams do a bad job because the incentives are not there to balance the future with the present
Hmm.
and bringing in the veterans like they did. It's very obvious Mara wants this to be like a 9+ win playoff team. So you bring in capable quarterbacks that are veterans that can do the job, but then have the young guy to supplant at some point and bring along is it's a good move to do, especially when you've got Russ, who can keep the chains moving, and then Winston that can go full tank, fun mode. It's a little bit of everything the fans would want, and the fantasy guys would want, and the football guys would want because you get a little bit of everything. Um, it stands out to be like a good locker room too. So like as far as like trying to balance the vibes, I gotta say shout out to them considering their backs up against the wall, and I
Yeah.
think they could have done a much worse job. Chicago just coming in and let's just add playmakers, let's add talent, let's build up the way I want to build from Ben Johnson's standpoint. I think very smart. A lot of us thought, hey, gonna take a running back, but then you've got Ryan Poles, who I don't respect that much as a GM, but
Yeah.
shout out for like, hey, running back does not matter. We've got a guy that can make it work. We've got veterans. We've got trades. Let's build the meaningful positions for the offense. And what they did in free agency, just build up the trenches. So like really smart there. And then obviously like Philly just continues to lap the field, and we're going to take guys that fall, and because we have a good locker room, we have a good, like cultural presence, but we also have no problem just like cutting bait on a guy that's not working and trying again. So just like being aggressive there and being smart. Those stand out. Also, just the Commanders. Like I think they could definitely get a little bit younger, but as far as how they've built and turned around that team and how they're trying to like maximize, makes a lot of sense for them too. So as far as the line getting some improvements and trying to build smart and cheap where it matters. Targeted some like a fun guy in like Jalen Lane, who is kind of interesting, like as a RAS guy. So it's like in this offense, just like they're not being tethered to bad players like Luke McCaffrey, Captain Nepo Baby last year. They're just let's make what works and let's just get new young talent in there and figure it out. So those kind of stood out to me right off the bat
Mm-hmm.
from like a real football and a fantasy like standpoint of like if you can show a little bit of consistency, then I don't have like a fear that you're going to have like an implosion really badly. I want the pieces I'm going to draft to like have some consistency, have some ceiling, and we've seen coaching staffs like the Jets and the Browns of yesteryear, have those types of like they don't have a plan, and so when things don't work out, it just kind of collapses. I'd like to tether myself to organizations and have a little bit of stability and a plan.
Yeah, no, all really good points there. I think the Eagles is just like it's so funny to me because it almost just seems like they're just like doing what would make like draft Twitter, lose their minds the most. But then at the same time, it's working out. So it's like,
Yeah.
dude, like I really want this to like blow up in their face so everybody on draft Twitter can just like look silly. But unfortunately, it's working. Just taking the best players continues to be successful. I do like your Giants shout as well. I mean, you have a top 3 pick. You should have a good draft, but the way that they went about the offseason in general, I agree with you. I think like made sense. Like get the veteran QBs in there. That way you don't have to like, take a suboptimal pick of QB that early because you have an Abdul Carter there who can be such a difference maker. And I think that kind of gets overlooked for some teams, that draft way too much into need and less of just like, hey, this guy has a chance to be like the best at his position, and you just figure it out from there.
Well, especially like outside of quarterback, the next most important position as far as affecting the ball and getting paid is edge. And Kayvon Thibodeau hasn't like been that guy. So like go ahead and take the next shot. You get the safety, and from like the GM standpoint, you get the safety of like, hey, look, I didn't do anything risky. If he doesn't pan out, he was the consensus top pick. As the football player, and then because you had Winston, you had Russ, you had coverage to not panic or make teams force you into, a hole. And when Pittsburgh didn't, take a quarter, it's like flexibility. And again, that's like, okay, ideas of a plan. I have my thoughts about Joe Shane as like as a GM, but Dayball seems to have a plan in order and at least they're on the same page. Not every move makes sense or like pans out, but at least there's a plan in place. And we've seen him make make a lot more with a lot less. So I'm pretty jazzed to see, at least from like what I'm gonna watch on Sundays. It's not gonna be a train wreck, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, I like Dayball. I just think Dayball is a good coach, and I would like to see him have some success just because of the very unfortunate circumstances in New York, right? Like the letting Saquon walk, which like for where the Giants were at, like I think most people with brain cells understand that was like the right move, but the fact that he walked, went to the division rival, wins the Super Bowl, just such a tough look that like I think that it showed some good level headedness from the owner to just be like, you guys got one more shot, right? Like let me see what kind of improvements they can make, because I mean they took Daniel Jones to the playoffs before, so there's something. Oh, they did something right at one point.
if things get cleaned house, I can see Dayball being the much better version of like what Steichen was like getting fired but getting picked back up. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Dayball is kind of like in the same tier of like Shanny and some other coaches that have like not had like the best run out early on, but still have a lot of good things to build on and just a better like the owner situation is fine, but obviously he could be paired with a much more competent GM who wouldn't have bungled the Saquon Dimes situation, which honestly was a bungle. Like they wanted to franchise tag Saquon and then extend Dimes and just the timelines for like getting it done. They had to rush things and it just
Yeah.
and it's like okay, so it's like if you're gonna give either one of these guys a second chance, it's obviously the guy that made Tommy DeVito work.
Yes. 100%. 100%. I think they realized that too. Before we get into a draft and start building a shipper here, got to give a shout out to my guy Gumby. Gumby, I put some pressure on Gumby to show up and be a member of this community, and he did. And not only did he, but he invited 10 other people to be badged up baddies. So Gumby, that was very nice of you. You didn't have to do that. I was totally kidding last night, but thank you for the donations. We appreciate that, and welcome new members. I can't see in the StreamYard app who exactly won those memberships, but I trust you guys. Just say hi. Just let me know if you got that. So I'm gonna join the BBM here. I'm kind of dragging it out a little bit. So if people want to join with us, you can join. It is 30 seconds, by the way. I am doing a 30-second BBM. I just think it and location error. So I just rugged everybody. There we go. Trying to do the right thing, trying to give everybody a chance to join up, and everybody's in a lobby without me. So I'll catch you in the next one. I'm joining on my phone right now, though, so just bear with me. 6 more.
Give us a shred of BB. Join the overflow.
I'm going to assume I didn't rug anybody. I'm going to assume that the 30-second lobbies, when I joined one yesterday, definitely did not, it didn't fill quickly. And I think everybody is pretty 20-second pilled. For content, the 20 seconds I think are too quick. And even just for like optimal drafting, like at least for BBM, I don't really love the 20 seconds. Have you given the 20-second drafts a shot yet?
Yeah, I did a couple of the 20 seconds. I think for like for getting them going, I see the value, especially for like volume drafters or just like, hey, I've got 30, 45 minutes. The thing though is like unless everybody's on their stuff, it's still not the fast as it could be. I remember the 10-second clocks, like those
was
were
a joke.
Those were a fun nightmare last year because it would only display like 1 second on the desktop, so every pick seemed like a disaster. But like, so it's like getting through them quickly is fun, but I think right now with how wonky and fake ADP is, I definitely need a little bit of time to like sift through ranks versus ADP and then like trying to how to play the room of like who's got what ranks, who's got what stacks. Like I want to play the room really well. And I'll get to the point where like 15 to 20 seconds is more than enough for me to do that for the most part. But that's when like pockets are more solidified, ADP is more trustworthy, and people in general, like drafters in general, are more comfortable. And we're nowhere close to that right now. So like the couple 20-second clocks I did, I definitely ran out of time more than a couple of those. Obviously, I've gone through and kind of like adjusted my ranks a little bit. I've done enough drafts where like the pockets are starting to kind of make their way, but also like these random fallers are still kind of weird to judge. So, but yeah, I mean, for drafting with a guest, 20 seconds is just like you're speed running your thoughts, and that's not. I don't think that's good content. I don't think people tune in just to watch us click buttons. But
yeah. I'm sure some people do, but yeah, for the most part, I'm trying to hear what you have to say at least. 30 seconds. Just need one. But no, I like it on my lonesome, and I will say, it's been really nice because like I am handicapped for time. With a child to take care of and nurture these days. So the 20 seconds will be nice if I'm trying to squeeze in one, and I'm kind of reserving them for now to the $5, $3 drafts just to like get practice running. But like they are I think they're awesome. I do think that in general, like they're awesome and very.
I will like it a lot when it's like August and I want to like fill stuff. I think the quicker clocks plus the like mass auto enter function are both going to be the drafter's best friends for getting stuff in right before close and late in the season. And I'm going to enjoy both of those. I agree with you though. Like I'm certainly not entering the 20-second clock in BBM right now because to me, anecdotally, those are the sweatiest drafters
Oh
right
yeah.
now. So it's like I'm already not getting that much EV when I'm doing it on stream, and people know who I like, or they're hearing my thought process. Let me just give away a little bit extra while going into the drafts with the most prepared drafters. It's like unless people are just clicking and not realizing, but so far it feels like the 20-second drafts I'm getting the least amount of like perceived values and the least amount of edge. And I'm certainly trying to still win. I'm not trying to prove I'm the best sharp drafter on the board because variance will humble us all. So give me give me the 30 second, dude. I will sign up for the 45-second clocks if need be. I want to draft with the
That would be
people.
nice, right? Crack a
They're over
cold
here like,
one.
let me put on my reading glasses to read the ADP. I want to draft with those people.
Somebody's asking here, like, would you multi-table 20 seconds? I would only do like two at once with 20 seconds because that's what's nice about, because I would multi-table previously, like, at least for me, with 30 seconds because like it kind of drug out a little bit and like, all right, well, let me just, I need to cram my attention. I need to be focused on something at all times because I got ADHD. But like that's just now with 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I'm only two at once, but I don't
I
know if
have
you've ever multi-tabled.
I multi-tabled the really low end clocks last year, and halfway through the draft, they all start crashing down on each other, and it's a disaster.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to keep track of. Okay, pretty solid top of the board here. Do you have any strong takes at this point, or are you just like neighbors?
I think all these guys are really awesome. I think I lean the most for Nico, um, just because of like I do think the floor is pretty solid. And before he got injured with his hamstring, he was just absolutely crushing. And I think bringing in the rookies is good overall in Higgins and Knoll for the offense, but you know Collins still stands out as the main alpha. He was winning deep. He was winning near the line of scrimmage. They're trying to revamp the offensive line. And the biggest thing was D'Amico Ryan said, hey, we're giving Stroud the reins at the top to like run the offense. And there's a chance that Higgins and Knoll aren't very, very good. Kirk is on the downtrend as like a slot only. So the clear alpha I still want to invest in.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. We can continue the Texans conversation after we make this pick. I'm going to ask you, anybody you like at the top here?
I think London for constructional reasons makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be mad if you have like a strong RB take here. You want to pair with Collins either. I'm
No,
also okay pulling McBride up here because I think he should go right around Bowers.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, it's just the type of targets and the type of work he's been, and with any sort of touchdown regression, we're taking him, right there with Bowers. So it's like just as far as like what he also offers your team, I kind of like trying to if I can only do two tight ends at this point that I
Mm-hmm.
feel really good about volume and touchdown equity. I'd love to do that because we just spent 3 months doing 20-round drafts where I got to be as comfy with my construction as possible. And I'll do plenty of punt tight end stuff. A lot of posting that's been done about elite quarterback versus elite tight end and how elite tight ends maybe more of a fugazi than we think. But I think from a construction standpoint, I'd rather have three stacked quarterbacks for the playoffs. And tight end does score the least amount of points. It is the most volatile. So let me treat it as the least important position as far as like my construction and try to hammer, the higher end, separators. There's also not as clear, there's not like a clear late tight end this year so far. I kind of felt like this last year early on where like I've yet to identify like a super duper smash that, McBride and Laporta from years past were why I would opt away from elite tight end because hey, here's
Mm-hmm.
a target late. I've yet to really find a guy who I think is that solid of a guy. There's okay dudes,
Yeah.
but it's like I just from a construction standpoint, I am very okay being done with tight end with just two guys before like round 16 and filling out the team elsewhere.
Yeah, I think like if you're drafting, which we are in April still, the flexibility of taking McBride or Bowers and then opening yourself up to take more shots at the flex positions and just understand that you're going to have more variance and leaning into the two tight end builds there. I definitely think that at this point, that probably is one of the more optimal ways to do it. Whereas, in August, I can maybe feel more comfortable about my flex positions that I'm taking in their roles and their respective offenses, and then now I can maybe do a little bit more punty tight end stuff. Yeah, man, I do agree with, like, in general, like, McBride and Bowers might as well be back to back. I think McBride probably less question marks for the team.
A
Like
lot less.
Bowers,
We've
things,
seen
there's
him
still
do it now 2
systemic
years.
risk there.
Yeah, 2 years back to back now. Got the extension, and he and Marv low-key big winners from Arizona's offseason and draft, because like no real target competition was added, but they shored up the trenches. So you've also got a year removed from injury for Kyler, so hopefully he's more consistent. But the one place that Kyler's struggled the last like 4 years in a row is like as a deep passer, and I think that saps Marv's ceiling more than it does McBride, because McBride is eating here on the intermediate tight end, middle of the field, and out stuff. And I think the McBride haters will say that, like, hey, he's just never going to score that many touchdowns, but he had like top 6 red zone and end zone looks last year. So it's just about like running better there. And if Connor has any sort of fall off, Benson was fine, but not like anything great. And we could easily see them just like go towards more of the pass, which benefits both McBride and Marv. So I think those are reasons to be in on him. A whole new staff, and you've added Jack Besh and you added Genty. So there are some questions for Bowers. I'm still taking him, but you could put him under a magnifying glass and feel a little less cozy.
Mm-hmm. So I do have ranks here, but I'll just go ADP for now. I'm pretty off DJ Moore at the moment. There's a lot of FUD on him, so I think he might fall. Anyone that you really like here?
I've been slamming Devontae Adams whenever I can. The guy keeps putting up 30-point ceiling games in his age. I think he got the best landing spot from like how he'll be used, how they'll like as far as his floor and his ceiling. I think the ceiling for Adams and Puka is massive this year. Um, the O line is got some additions. It's going to get healthier, and with Terrence Ferguson, they might go more 12 personnel, which allows Adams and Puka to eat even more. But I think retaining Tutu allows more field stretching to allow Adams and Puka to eat in the more intermediate spots as needed. And just like McVay and Stafford are kingmakers at wide receiver. And we saw Cooper Kupp, the disheveled Cooper Kupp, project pretty well every week before injuring his ankle for the billionth time.
Yeah. I'm with you. I really like Adams. All right, we're back up here, and Breece Hall and James Cook look decent. But is there another wide receiver you might like?
I think Breece Hall here, it's not my favorite click on the board, but I think he was a sneaky winner from the outset. James Cook has been falling, so I think if any of these guys, and then there's Hunter if you want to pull him up, but
yeah,
I think 1-3 start right now feels pretty good. We've seen Breece Hall's ceiling. I have some question marks about like how good is he really after struggling so much last year, but they added a top tackle. That's not nothing. The offensive line is getting an improvement. Fields is better for like the rushing, and he was low key fine for running back targets last year with Aaron Glenn. And then Fields is just a target for me right now as far as like I like to also punt the elite quarterbacks when I can and try to make these like 3 quarterback builds with less draft capital makes sense. And Fields is just going to project as like a top 10 quarterback every single week because of his rushing ceiling. And so it's like, is Breece Hall like, I know he was like a former first round pick, but we were also penciling in like, look at all these Rodgers dump offs. They're going to be cooking, yada, yada. It's a new staff. They're going to have a competition. It feels less fun, and I don't want to ignore the red flags. We kind of got a little bit, but I also won't be surprised if he goes back to getting like 50 to 70 targets and just being more effective behind a better line. But he is starting to kind of look a little bit more Kenny Walker-esque, where he's like home run or bust. We heard that was an issue the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully Aaron Glenn goes, hey, let's just get these guys doing what they do well, which is get him in space, get the ball in his hand. And right now it's just him and Wilson. So
yeah,
it makes me feel better about like their overall, well, Mason Taylor, but as far as like what their target ceilings could be, even if I do believe it's going to be a slower paced, more conservative, like run focused attack. I still think they can consolidate.
Yeah, I think just anytime that you can buy low on a player that was a first round pick last year, and like the only thing that changed is like didn't have a good season, but like the age is still there. I think that it's just by out of principle, just a good move. You're right though, obviously about like the Jets wide receiver room. It's really strange.
That
So
was
like what?
one place where it's like everybody can say all they want about Dallas not taking a running back, but like we've seen street RBs make it work. What the Jets did not do at wide receiver through free agency in the draft, I'm extremely curious what the plan here is.
I know, right? Like, are we about to get like a Garrett Wilson, CeeDee Lamb season or something? Like, I'm just like really like, can Justin Fields provide that? I mean,
And then that's my thing is like DJ Moore had to run so stupid hot on like broken plays and just like outgamming other dudes to make that work on the because there were plenty of weeks where he was near a zero. Um like I it's gonna be tough. I gotta think they're gonna be active in the camp trade market. Um there's a couple of receivers that are in their last year of their contract. You know, eh, guys like Evans, guys like Sutton, guys like Adam Thielen. I expect them to sniff around on those guys. We've seen two of them got moved last year, and Hopkins and who's the other one? I'm forgetting, but like last year of their contract, veteran receivers get moved, you know, before and during the season. So I could definitely see this team just deciding that that's and with Aaron Glenn, I tend to think that's going to happen.
mhm.
But I think that that affects more of like Garrett Wilson's ceiling and floor. I'd like to, you know, Garrett Wilson to be a more consistent route runner last year, like the feet thing. But you got to imagine if the vibes get better, hopefully the workout
Right?
gets better. But it's at least Brees Hall is cheaper, and I don't have to poke as many holes when I'm selecting. So he feels like the right type of player and price, Brees that is. But
Yeah.
yeah, the whole offense just feels like three dudes and pray.
Yeah, seriously. But like at the same time, Justin Fields, I think and I've been a notorious hyper of Justin Fields, and I'm proud of it. But I'll get to this take in a moment here. I do not like the Travion Henderson ADP. Um, I don't love a lot of these guys here, but I do like Jawan Jennings, and I believe you are in the same camp.
I have been a Jawan stan for what feels like 4 long months, and I'm happy to keep slapping it out because any timetable that doesn't see Ayuk start week one benefits Jennings. I also think I think the Bears of Jennings just don't realize what he's done in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
But we'll get
Yeah,
to that.
and I think until I see it, you can confidently say he's over Ricky. And like you mentioned, Ayuk not starting the season, and man, he has had a pretty rocky,
Yeah.
last few years as well when he is healthy. Okay, we're back up here, and I'm going to lean on you, brother. Is this RJ Harvey time, or are you
If
holding
we're
off?
talking about guys that are likely going to rise, it's probably Harvey. I won't be surprised if David Montgomery ends up rising throughout the season with any sort of positive news. So I'd be okay taking him. Connor, I like, but he seemingly always falls. So yeah, Harvey or Monty. I I like Monty was a very good running back and has been a very good running back the last couple of years. I'm not super clear on like what the knee stuff is, but he's going to have so much time to rest that I do expect him to like rise back into like the mid 50s when we get that news. But for now, I think Harvey's got. I do think Monty's ceiling is probably like the mid to early 50s, whereas we've seen Slappy's run guys up much higher right now. So I'm just having to kind of like eat the Harvey right now because he
Yeah,
might get cheaper, but I also think he might just get more expensive and that not really change anytime soon.
I
So
think
right
Harvey's
now it
price is
feels
going to
like
get ridiculous.
it has the potential to, right? Like it's
Like I not that I agree with it, obviously, but like it's going to get ridiculous.
we drafted Antonio Gibson at the 1-2 turn not too long ago, guys. That's what
Jesus
I keep telling
Christ.
myself when people are like, "Oh, this 6 round Harvey price." I'm like, brother, we have drafted much worse, much sooner, and I know he can get more expensive because for all the reasons we just talked about, like Kamara, Walker, Chuba are not the comfiest clicks. James Cook's already been falling to like the late 40s with like the house up for sale holdout risk that I don't think is that real, just because of how the current CBA is. And then we just talked about like, oh, well, Hampton's on like, in a timeshare with Najee, and I love Hampton, but and then Brees, what's the Fields thing? And people just want to say this is the new Kamara, Peyton Go Burr type of thing. And I just won't be surprised if he's up there like with Kyron in a few months, because that's just what the market's decided. And at that point, we
Yeah.
can go, hey, we got him when he was reasonably priced. Even if you don't think this is a reasonable price, it'll get worse.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm glad that I'm taking one share here to look back on and be like, man, I can't believe I got Harvey when I did. I did want to just circle back very quickly, Justin Fields' sake, just to tie a bow on that. The fact that this dude got $20 million a year, like I'm
not nothing. Not nothing. I was like, dude, if he's not going to Pitt, he's going to get a raise. He got a raise, but not only that, he got an assurance. Aaron Glenn told him, hey, you'll start here. We're not gonna yank you around. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left, right? Like this, or he would have held out for a better thing. And for the Jets, it sure as shit just feels like they're gonna, let's see what we got with this. Let's do the Baker Mayfield thing. Let's do the Geno Smith thing. If we can rehabilitate and make Fields work, awesome. If not, we'll cut bait and figure it out next year. And Matthew Stafford will be a free agent. Who knows who will be in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, and then whatever the rookies pan out for. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense for the Jets where they were drafting to like put themselves in a position where like they wouldn't, because I think you want a rookie, just install them, like give them the full offseason, and then when you can start them week 1 and see what you have. If you don't fully install them into camp, hi Drake May and Gerard Mayo, then you don't feel good about starting in week 1, and then it goes into the season, and then you've put them into a mess, and you're like, what truly are they working with a limited playbook with limited knowledge? So it's just like for them sitting at 8, it's like you need help all over the place. Rebuild as if you have quarterback figured out, and if you don't, hit the reset button next year.
Yeah, and I think that Fields makes sense for the way that this offense currently looks, which it does not look good. But like if he is going to use his legs, like, and that is now like that just becomes like another factor of the offense. It's another weapon that they have there to help just keep the chains moving. Like that's why I thought it looks like Pittsburgh's offense last year.
I was gonna say they just watched him do that fine, and what if?
Yeah, and I think you could say that the Jets have a better offense than 2024 Steelers, pretty comfortably, because I mean
you can run it better than Arthur Smith. That is for sure.
Yeah, I think anybody could. That's for goddamn sure. Still no quarterback here. No stacks on the board for us just yet. And I don't really think reaching makes a ton of sense, but I could be eating my words here. Gumby's going to reach for Justin Fields. What do you think here? I think we could maybe push I think we could push Purdy.
I'm ecstatic to get Stephon Diggs here and keep it rolling as our wide receiver 5. He got a nice contract. It looks like a 1 to 2 year deal with team options. I don't think sorry, Kyle Williams slappies. I don't think he's going to keep Diggs from operating on the outside, where he was a better player last year than in the slot, where they slotted him because Tank Dell was better on the outside. And it looks like, from all accounts, from like the health guys I actually listened to, he's potentially actually ahead of schedule to start week 1. And
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And then also just opens up another stack partner with Drake May, who got a lot of it. Like not the best additions, Patriots. You took a T-Rex at tackle, but you're throwing pieces there, and that's better than you had. So Drake May's offense got a little bit better, and McDaniels is made worse with better. So
I'm excited about it, I will say. Thoughts on TJ Hawkinson?
I like Hawk. I think he's a great way to arbitrage the elite tight end. So it's either him or Bo, but it looks like Bo's been falling in cost. So I'm happy to click with an 025 build to get Hawkinson. I was out on him last year because he was coming off the ACL, over the age of 25. All those health things told us he's probably going to start on PUP, which he did, and then it's going to take a while to come back and get to form, which he did. And then when he does, he's not going to be as physically efficient. Well, He's now going to be a year removed with a full offseason of health. He has a pretty good athletic profile, and he's got a quarterback coming in that, the age old rookie quarterback leans on the tight end thing. It's not the most, fun heuristic, but I think from just from the standpoint of like getting the offense moving and keeping it rolling, it makes some sense. But like, it's also part of an offense we want pieces of. The offensive line got huge additions. Minnesota sneaky made the most out of not having a ton of picks by attacking free agency and the trade market with Jordan Mason. So I feel really good about their offense. Howell is not the best quarterback, but he's certainly pretty decent for fantasy as far as just like KOC has done this with Nick Mullins before to like at least keep them available. Also, like it sounds like McCarthy's injury was a lot less severe, and he's on track to get full starter reps starting in rookie OTAs or volunteer OTAs. So yeah, I like Hawkinson's price a lot. I won't be surprised with some positive news and reporting and projections adjusting if he ends up. He should probably at the end of the. I won't be surprised if he outscores Laporta just for like he is the more athletic guy. We've seen him drafted in the top 3 rounds previously. And if anybody's gonna like kind of do Kirk Cousins, it's McCarthy probably, who was pretty
Yeah,
efficient on third downs and just efficient in general.
that has me excited. I was a big Hawkinson guy before the injury, and I was foolishly you know huffing the hopium and buying in on him, like having like a nice return post post pup. And doing things with the Vikings, just given how I saw the tight end position, and obviously that didn't pan out, but I do think that he's a potential riser unless people get JJ McCarthy FUD just because he didn't play last year and he's an unknown and it's different. But like we just saw Sam Darnold, almost win MVP, so I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, still a top 10 quarterback investment. Some pretty strong signals from like advanced metrics for like who he could be at the elite level. And almost everyone except for Jerron Hall and Josh Dobbs, I believe, panned out just fine in this system. So McCarthy would have to be like next level dog shit for this not to like work at least well. And I don't. Like he's got to be like Josh Rosen bad, and his college profile didn't look like that. We've been wrong before, but I feel pretty good in just how they've built it. They tried to make the O line as strong as you can, which is a quarterback's best friend, but especially a rookie quarterback. So but just from like a physical health standpoint, I think TJ is going to be a lot closer to his previous injury form, which raises his ceiling on just what he can do with like yak.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see this new like Vikings team. I mean, they just clearly have such a really good thing going over there, and they're kind of at the point where they're one of those very few teams that I put on a pedestal and I just kind of trust them. Like I just think that whatever they're doing will work, and KOC is the goat. Is plain and simple where I'm at. I'm Purdy here with Jawan Jennings, but willing to hear you out on anything else.
No, we've now been sniped on Drake May and Justin Fields, so very fine getting at least
Jesus
one
Christ.
quarterback here, and then we can figure it out.
Hood fave over here saying, "Give me naked Drake May or give me death." And brother, I think you're going to get both. So that's fine. It is what it is. I got a pretty big rank here, and that's derogatory on Tyler Warren going to the Colts. What are the Colts doing at QB, man?
I sincerely think they're gonna do basically what Pittsburgh was, which is both guys are gonna get equal chance to start. The incumbent has the slightest of edges, but not even really because they said in December, hey, whoever we bring in is gonna get to compete day one. And then they brought in someone 2 months later and then said they will split day one. So I think Dimes is gonna play plenty, and I won't be surprised if they're just both rotated. I have a feeling Dimes will be the guy that wins just because he's more consistent in the pass, and that's what the coaches have said they want to do. Um, so we could do Higgins here and try to build out a Houston double to get Stroud later on, or
Mm-hmm.
we can reach for a quarterback because we're afraid of the room.
Yeah, quarterback is kind of scary. I don't necessarily see. Well, there is
I'm not too
Stroud
scared.
here.
I'm not too scared. I think we can take Higgins and kind of control the
Okay,
room.
I'm Team Higgins.
Let's trust the sauce.
I like what Houston did, and it was pretty necessary because man, like what Stroud had at his disposal, just like completely shifted the narrative on him. And I think a lot of it, you can't put all that blame on Stroud. I mean, he was throwing the guys he was throwing to. It was just
No,
terrible.
I mean, as someone that watched it every week, there were weeks where just like the offense could not block for a second. Like there were stretches where it looked just as bad as what the Patriots were rolling out, which was really rough. And it was shocking because you're supposed to have these awesome dudes in Tunsil and stuff. But the problem was year over year, this old offensive line committed some of the most penalties year over year, and they were a bad like rushing attack. So insisting on running the ball would always put them
Yeah,
in down distance. And then they're not doing very well versus the pass, or they're committing penalties to put a 3rd and 7 into a 3rd and 12 and put Stroud in a bad position. And then you've got guys dropping balls. You've got Nico missing, I think, like ended up 6 weeks total last year, and then Tank Dell kind of having some lag. Stephon Diggs, you lose midway through the season. Like the offensive implosion was rough. And the reason why they fired their, Bobby Slowick, their OC, was because just kept trying to do the same thing as if like Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie are just the same as Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and not
yeah,
adjusting to what this offense is doing and what it needs. And so seemingly by internally promoting a somewhat unknown guy, but and just saying we're going to give Stroud the reins of this offense to run it, and then we're just going to add, just a gluttony of weapons across the board where we can and make it work and figure it out. Ryan's comes from the San Francisco, like, hey, sift through all of the camp cuts and try to just have competition at all the positions and make it work. So they've hit it with numbers and they have depth, and they'll try to figure it out in camp. They'll make trades or make acquisitions as they can. But I think they did all the right things, and let's blow it up. Let's get what we can, and let's just get new bodies in and figure it out, because the previous O line was just not taking the coaching. They weren't fixing any of their problems, and it was becoming, we kind of saw Tony Romo do the same thing of like Stroud is going like full hero ball to make this work, and it's not working, and it's
yeah.
setting the offense back like, so far.
hmm Yeah, no, I think those are all very very astute points, and really, just it was all bad. It was truly just all bad for the Texans last year. Speaking of the Texans, like low key draft winner in Joe Mixon. I don't think too many people were very high on Woody Marks, so they're planning on just giving Mixon everything he can handle again.
Only person that knew Woody Marks would get drafted above some of these other running backs was Hayden, apparently, in his original big board rankings, because Woody Marks is like 150 or something. But yeah, I think
Well, he went
Woody
to
is gonna.
USC, right?
Yes, yeah,
Well, there you
yeah,
fucking go.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so USC Nepo baby, he's more of like a satellite guy, so I think he's got to push. Akers filled in this role that Ogunbowale and Pierce were slated to split. So I think Woody is just going to try to push Ogunbowale to be their like every once in a while, like 2-minute drill scat back guy. I
Yeah,
doubt he's going to be more than that, because like this,
yeah.
the Houston Texans do not make good trades. They always overpay for random shit. Lest we forget, they traded up to draft both Will Anderson and Stroud because they had to have their cake and eat it too.
Oh, that's right.
And they've lost value on like every trade they've made in the draft. So I'm not going to take, moving up for Woody Marks to the bank, because they've done some questionable things in the past.
And we get the Stroud double, so
Boom.
I'm all in on this. Yeah, QBs are scary because the back end of QBs, for my money, is terrifying. Like Anthony Richardson, we just talked about, is like very scary. Sam Darnold, I think like the leash is very short with Milrow there. Giants is like musical chairs. Cleveland, can you even draft a Cleveland QB right now? Yeah, the back end of QBs right now is very, very fragile for my money.
I want the Browns to keep adding dog shit quarterbacks so they have like an 8-man competition in camp, because I think it would make for great TV and great tweeting. and just like run it. Like every quarterback gets a drive, and they're all bad. It would be entertaining to say the
It's gonna
least.
be a headache, man. They're gonna regret what they've done.
I'm very cool saying we've got McCarthy, we've got Penix here. We made a bigger investment in Penix with Drake London, and then we can say we hit the QB window. We're all wrapped up. We have an arbitrage elite tight end. We've got our three QBs stacked, and we just fill out the team and probably end with two tight ends to catch up at running back. Thoughts?
I'm gonna take Penix because I never thought I would hear you suggest we take Michael Penix.
Yeah, I don't have the heart to keep up this like fake beef. It's like just just questioning, a 5 game sample, including three of the worst defenses in the league, is apparently calling a guy dog shit. But I'm too tired to keep up this charade. He's not bad. I have my question marks about like how they addressed free agency in the draft. I'm a little bit maybe worried about what they're doing on offensive line. They're obviously pushing in their chips, like they figured it out. And that's my only thing is I just want to be like, guys, I know you like him a lot and you liked his film a lot in college. We did not see a whole lot from him, and we just saw the like Jordan Love overreacting. Oh, he's definitely the guy, and now we're like, well, you definitely paid him like the guy, but is he actually taking you to the promised land? Is a different question. I also wouldn't have minded them adding more weapons because like Ray
Yeah,
McLeod did fine, but I think you could have like there was slot galore in this draft to like improve the slot, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that with tight end, and they hate Kyle Pitts. So I'm just left wondering, um, is this offense a little bit thinner than we'd like if anything happens to Mooney or a tackle? It's all that said, on paper, it still seems pretty solid. Penix looks like he can make a lot of the throws. Um, and I know how much rushing upside he has. It's probably in the same vein of like Burrow and Stroud, where he can scamper in the red zone, but
yeah,
he's not going to put up massive numbers. And you know what? He plays in a division where the defense has been bad almost on every team.
yeah,
And my gal brain is saying Carolina's defense didn't get super strong because they smartly addressed like offense early and often. Um, so his week 17 outs are potentially a bad Carolina defense, one of the worst teams in the NFL I've seen in some time with the Tyler Shuck Saints, and then the Bucks who keep investing in offense and like to rip it. So
yep.
from that standpoint, I'm in.
Sure, sure. I liked Penix out of college, and I felt very vindicated when the Falcons blew my mind and traded up for Penix. But then they, made the trade with the Rams with the very strange draft capital swapping there, and I mean it was already hard to trust the move for Penix in general. I'm just really it I'm struggling to buy in to what they're selling and the way that they are choosing to make their moves. So that makes me less bullish on Penix. That said, I still like him a lot, and I am still going to take him a lot. It is weird that they didn't make more moves, but I like Darnell Mooney. He's fine. I love Drake London. I
Yeah,
really think that Drake London has a step to take. Like last year, it didn't happen because we saw Kirk Cousins throwing changeups like by week 10, and that was very unfortunate. But who would have thought a 40-year-old off an Achilles might not be the move? And I'm not going to pretend that I have hope for Kyle Pitts. I just think Kyle Pitts can just be a guy that catches some touchdowns sometimes.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making we heard that Andrews, which I didn't buy given the actual comments in full context, be on the trade block, but guys like Dallas Goddard and whatever. So like they could still make a camp or mid-season trade to address that position if they really wanted to. I wouldn't be shocked if they do get into camp and they're like, okay, he's just not doing it. Let's figure something out. And yeah, I wish they would have added more because like he's on his rookie contract. So like push your chips in on the team, but push it in on the side of the ball that makes more sense. Uh, and at the same time, they haven't traded away Kirk Cousins, which I know that they feel very strongly about having competency in the QB room no matter what happens. But continuing to pay him and not reset the counter with a different guy and more draft capital is also curious considering, again, the leverage you have with the rookie quarterback contract, you're kind of burning with the high paid quarterback still in tow, and that's odd. But yeah,
Hmm.
he and London can just cook, and that makes you feel really good about it.
We could overstack with Jalen Knoll, or we can go Algier for the correlation and some more running back depth. Definitely don't like Jerome Ford here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, let's do Algier with the stack because I think we have two tight ends that I wouldn't mind adding here to be done with it, and then hammer the two positions to end the draft. Um, with Goddard after ADP and then some other guys down the line. I don't understand why Goddard continues to fall. He's not been traded. He's still on a very good team. We saw him still be very talented. And if he does get still traded, probably better volume out for him than where he's currently located. So
Hmm.
I don't understand that. And I think it's just boredom and just general vibes that I expect once the projections come out, he will snap back up like 30 picks into the like viable, min-range tight end he's always been located with. That's fine. I kind of like Strange
Yeah,
because he was a huge winner from the draft. But if you feel more strongly about getting RB4 here, I think the
I
next set of tight ends is fine.
yeah, I do like RB4 here, but I don't like anybody that I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Do
this is
you?
kind of a gross range of fallers. So I'm good saying we get access to a really exciting offense that just added a lot of fun pieces and an OC that just got done feeding whoever was at tight end, whether that was K Dotton or Payne Durham. So if we're gonna
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that with just like volume and offense, I feel good about that.
yeah. I see a lot of people, and this is regards to Tyler Warren, say, hey, why we like Tyler Warren? He couldn't beat out Brenton Strange. Counterpoint: Brenton Strange kept Tyler Warren off the field.
Counterpoint,
Counterpoint.
playing tight end well, or playing any position in the NFL, good, rare. Not
I
many people on
know.
planet Earth do that.
I
What was
that
the
that's
stat?
what boggles my mind. They're like, he couldn't even beat out starting tight end in the NFL. He was a starting tight end and he was an
Yeah,
underclassman. You want him to
8
beat
billion
like
people don't do that. Like
at a
here's
school
a
that values tradition more than like any other university, like in Penn State. They don't put their names on the back of the fucking jerseys. Like, and you
I
think that
love that
these
you took it
you're
there.
gonna promote an underclassman tight end against NFL caliber tight ends? Like, I'm sorry. I get so sick and tired of that argument. It triggers me so much. Like, we got to find another slant. Have to find another slant.
Yeah, this guy was so good that they didn't address it in what was labeled as like one of the best tight end classes in a long time. That saw a lot of guys get taken on day one and day two. Um, pretty good yards per route run, pretty good missed tackles force, some nice yak for Strange. But yeah, like also like the fun there's like what 1,200 um viable, eligible, like draftable players in declared, and the most that's ever been available, and only like what like 300 and something are going to get drafted. So it's like that's how many dudes don't get drafted, let alone dudes that stay on an NFL roster for longer than the 1.5 average years. This guy just sat on a roster for a few years. It was a good prospect, by the way. I think like third round pick. He was on my dynasty squad for like 3 years, and he was good enough that they cut and ate money to cut bait with Ingram and not address the position. So like from a signal standpoint, pretty good. And also, even if he's bad, tight ends attached to good offenses, which we have to assume with a pretty quality GM coming in that
Mm-hmm.
came from a really good, like well-run organization with maybe the most promising head coaching guy that came into any team this offseason, and then
Yeah.
just added a playmaker on offense. It's like, but that's it. Like the two most talented dudes are BTJ and Hunter, and then Strange, I feel pretty good, is gonna not see too many targets away to like, sorry, no offense, Parker Washington and Diami Brown. Like these are not target hogs. So it's like he has real outs to be the third target in a very efficient, high scoring offense. And this is it's a scheme that if it's anything like what we've seen in the previous coaching's past, you'll see random like 7 and 10 target games to the tight end, and also just a focal point in the offense. That's good for touchdowns. Last time I checked,
Exactly.
Well,
Like
hot take.
get to the red zone and figure it out is where I'm at there. All right.
I'm
On
very
the
happy
clock
with Rico
again.
here. I don't care what people say. I'm not fourth round. Trevor Etienne is not moving me off of Rico Dowdle. Sorry, he's efficient. He got paid just fine. He got mentioned. It was like splitting reps. I'm IK being here with saying Rico is a good pick.
All right,
I'm,
let's do it. I mean, it's interesting because they didn't really have a viable RB2 in Carolina. They went out and paid Rico, and I mean, Rico looks good, man. I mean, I think it was more than just situational. To me, to my eyes, Rico was tasked to do something he's never done before and did it, and now he got paid for it. Good for him. I like I like Rico 178 a good bit, because like even just for
yeah.
like the handcuff aspect, I mean
Well,
that's
he got talked about as pass and rush availability. Okay, so this range sucks. Wicks
sure
has been
does.
going undrafted sometimes, so
What do you think about Roshan, given like what the hell
I
the Bears just did?
I'm Lloyd here. I think Lloyd ends up in this range as the RB2.
Okay,
Um,
glad you said that, because
yeah.
last year people were telling me Marshawn Lloyd was going to play more snaps, outrush Josh Jacobs by 1,000 yards, and I understand that he got hurt, but
Still could, man.
yeah, now here we are, and nobody wants him, even though he's expected to be healthy to open up camp. Strange. Find that interesting. There you go.
Yeah, so the to button up the Rico thing, efficient rusher, efficient pass catcher. Coach said, "I like what he can offer us. We like guys that can be interchangeable." Look at the Chuba Hubbard contract. It's nothing like bulking. They signed him to a very reasonable deal that they could get out after next year. There's a coach that has said year over year, I want to run the piss out of the football. I want to make people respect the run game. Did that. Used Miles Sanders more than any man on earth should. Miles Sanders had some usable spike weeks, famously caught that like 30-yard touchdown like outlet play. Rico's better than Miles Sanders, hot take. And a fourth round running back in ETN who had plenty of red flags as a prospect does not mean Rico's dead. In fact, I'm more inclined at this point in the draft to draft pretty competent players in pretty competent roles that got competent coach speak as cromulent picks, especially as they're falling down the draft board. And then a little bit of divisional correlation. I think Rico's the favorite to open up the season as the RB2. So his ADP should rise to the other RB2s. He's not dog shit. We've seen him be capable and competent. He's got good size. And if anything happens to Chuba, boom, like contingent upside. I don't get why he's falling. I was in the ship chasing Discord asking aloud Saturday from Lafayette as I burrowed deeper into boudin and crawfish pies. Why is Rico dead? Trevor Etienne is a fourth round running back. What are we doing? Like Trey Benson and Blake Corum, third round running backs, didn't kill the running back ahead of them. Why is a fourth round running back Etienne doing that? Because he shares the name of a guy who lost his job to Tank Bigsby. Okay, like whatever.
Yeah, I am with you, and I say this because, like, from my standpoint, I like the direction the Panthers are going in. I think that they are getting more and more competent, and I like what I saw from Bryce Young last year after like just like egg on my face saying I think Bryce Young can be good. I think he can be good, and he actually showed flashes of like some pretty good QB play. And just from like the handcuff aspect alone, which I mean, at this point in the draft is kind of like what I'm looking at here. I mean, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, and I say that to somebody that wasn't really thinking about Rico. Again, this is only like my fifth draft, but I was not thinking about Rico. But you definitely put him on my radar for if he's going to be there at 178, man. And I'm drafting 0 RB. I mean, I think he fits the need.
Yeah, I mean, like if he's RB2, I expect him to get like the Algier-esque touches we've seen in the modern offenses. Like these guys are going to get 6 to 12 touches a week, despite us wanting the guy ahead of to get like 100% of the touches. And Canales famously uses guys in these split roles. Teams take specialists all the time.
Mm-hmm.
and also these guys bust all the time.
Sh-
Lloyd, same
Shuck
thing.
to
Tyler
Gumby. I
Shuck,
love it.
baby.
I love it. Is Amari Cooper dud and
Oh,
dust?
I'm not seeing who's available, by the way, but
Oh,
no
fuck
to
my
Amari
life. There we go.
Cooper.
Sorry.
Let's see.
Amari Cooper could be dead. 80 Mitchell, I think, has upside personally, but
Mitchell's
maybe.
fine. Wright's fine. Scroll a little bit for me. We've got 2 seconds. Let's do, yeah, 80 Mitchell's fine. We don't know how the offense is going to shake out. He could easily be the QJ where he learns to run routes and catch the ball sometimes. Dimes could just provide more upside for this offense. And if anything happens to Pittman, who has a weird back thing we don't know about yet, and Pierce, while good, doesn't mean he's like locked into that role. Even though I like Pierce just fine.
Yeah, I'm just obviously a ceiling shot with Mitchell because I think AD Mitchell showed like the ability to like I feel like a breakout could happen there. Obviously, he
At
has a lot
worst,
of
he's
things.
like the Trey Tucker long touchdown guy.
He's Wixy to me, if that makes sense. Like like
No, that's fair.
Octavian Wicks, which obviously is not really a compliment, but
I think a shot on Eli Mitchell's not bad here. Um,
if I can spell his name.
yeah, I think he was the first free agent that was added to the team. He was paid okay. They talked about, hey, if we can keep this guy healthy, he could be like a Jet McKinnon role for us, and we want to give him the training like regimen that we've given to previous other guys with his types of soft tissue injury. We've seen that type of training and health regimen work for guys like CMC, who changed up his regimen, Christian Watson famously. And we've seen Elijah Mitchell be like when he supplanted and filled in for CMC, he was a top 5 running back, was able to run really well, was able to catch really well. And Pacheco's coming back from a pretty bad injury. He might be supplanted. He's not getting drafted like he's the locked in starter. As much as the Brashard Smith Slappies would love, we see this time and time again with the Chiefs. Like they bring in multiple guys, give them shots, and then they trust the dusty vet. Kareem Hunt, famously, that guy last year,
Right.
not got enough juice. Pacheco was fun, lacked a little bit of that long speed juice. Mitchell's like the one guy on this team that could do that. That's got like the Andy Reid markers of trust, and I think he's a fine click here, assuming all these guys are toast. But if Mitchell, it's like who could rise the most, and if Mitchell claims the RB2 spot, and honestly, it's ambiguous enough. He could claim the 1A spot. Like we've seen McKinnon operate previously as like the main pass down back in get a majority of those high value touches. And at that point, he's like an insanely huge smash at ADP. And I think he was signed for enough money that I don't worry about like a camp cut. He didn't get
I
like
don't
J.K.
either.
Dobbins 50K. It was like, it was a good amount of chunk.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it in my pants with Elijah Mitchell because I'm a big fan. I was a big fan. Got hurt last year, but obviously coming off an injury is not like that's good. Obviously that's not
Yeah.
good. But he's been in good offenses before, and like you said, like the fact that Kareem Hunt like had good weeks last year, obviously out of pure volume and efficiency, like. Why couldn't that be Elijah Mitchell if things fell his way?
Especially like Eli is kind of fun in that he didn't even see week 1. Like he was shut down late in camp on IR due to his injury. So he spent the whole season rehabbing, and a team brought him in, gave him money, and he passed the physical. So like from a health standpoint, he got brought into a team that said he was good enough to get paid as the first free agent signed and then get into like the training room and the rehab room. So from a signal, that's pretty nice. And from a talent standpoint, he's an interesting guy. And we've seen way worse running backs matter. Like if Amir Abdullah can provide spike weeks, barely drafted, I'm willing to take shots on guys like Mitchell. I think the vets right now are better clicks than some of these late round running backs because a majority of them are going to bust. They're just names that we've been clicking and we're really excited about. They got way worse draft capital or landing spots than we would have hoped. So I think the prudent move is to take guys who are probably going to go into camp higher on the depth chart because that'll move their ADP. We react to fake depth charts every year, regardless if you want it to or not, as a market. And then just the types of guys Andy Reid has leaned on and trusted. And then if anything happens to the guys in front, honestly wheels up.
Yeah, round 18, not a bad case to be made there. All right, I'm going to recap this. We picked from the 10 spot, Tyler and I did, and this team wound up with Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Michael Penix. Dropped the is that the surname there that he drops? So okay, we're just going Michael Penix these days. Running back room is
I'm hoping for a week 17 big penis spike. Honestly,
yeah.
I want it
What
to
is
come
that?
forth and flow for
Pepper Tony was talking about,
peanut.
throwing frozen ropes to his receivers. Sign me up. Running back is Brees Hall, RJ Harvey, Tyler Algier, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd, Elijah Mitchell. So we got a little slappy there for a moment, but we're playing the CLV game. Wide receiver is Nico Collins, Drake London, Devontae Adams, Jawan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, Jaden Higgins, AD Mitchell, tight end, two tight ends, TJ Hawkinson, getting some Brenton Strange, 3-6-7-2. This is kind of how I like to draft in the month of April when we're drafting for the regular season.
Yeah, I think it's also prudent to have 3 quarterbacks because if they're all stacked up, you've got team correlation boost, you have playoff. One of the best ways to add to your playoff EV. But we also have no idea what the bye weeks are, and
Yeah.
we know that quarterback bye week overlap nukes your advance rate the most. And would love to avoid that with any of my entries. Can't wait for the doomed. What was it, like 8 teams on week 14 bye last year? So even the teams that drafted 3 quarterbacks with Lamar and Stroud and AR got absolutely nuked. So
Yeah.
excited for that again. They seemingly always have 2 bye weeks that overlap way too much. But
Too many good teams on the same bye weeks is just the worst.
Too many good quarterbacks. It was like all the fun dual threat guys.
Yeah. So that's always a nightmare. Hopefully we can avoid that. But Tyler, my man, once again, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Long overdue. I can't wait to see you again. Any parting words for the people? The little promo. What you got going on?
Well, if you like this and you like the guys I typically stream with, we'll be live on the Fantasy Sanctuary, the channel I help run with Tom and Rich. All things best ball, fantasy, dynasty. We'll be live tomorrow night, I believe 5:30 Central, with PPR Tyler and Best Ball Guy for the Typhel Tower. Your favorite chaotic, very
Love the
not
Typhel
PC
Tower.
stream. Yeah, so we're gonna Typhel it up again, and tower long, tower large. Tomorrow night for a couple of drafts. It'll be fun to get together with the boys and start ripping some post draft best ball teams. And then I believe hopping on with the Fan Speak folks next week. And then got some fun stuff cooking up. Numi hit the DMs today.
Oh, Noonie in the DMs.
So got some potentially exciting stuff cooking for hot best ball summer. So if you like that, come check us out on the Fantasy Sanctuary. Check me out on Emo __ Cowboy because the coward will not release the handle to me.
It's in the description as well.
I will take it back. But yeah, come check us out. Come shout. Come talk your crap as we get ready for some 1v1 eliminator season. It's gonna be a fun hot baseball summer.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Gumby, once again for donating Membies. You're the goat. Best of luck if you're playing MLB or any sort of daily today. I will catch you guys tomorrow. I'll be back at 1. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. Probably daily content, but I will be back here at 1 p.m. Central Time, God's time. Favorite time of the show for most folks. The end. Peace.